come on, even on a mid laner, like that's unless you're an assassin, like you're
Maybe he
in
thought he was
LeBlanc,
flat, and he's like, that's okay, I got pool, it's
yeah,
whatever.
just some weird errors from Origen, but some better plays as well. The one in the top lane that Vedius was talking about was a good example of Origen actually, working as a unit, working as a cohesive group. So
and punishing the over-aggression. I mean, Origen in his first game in the European LCS definitely had some missteps, but obviously came out far and away ahead. Cabochard got to play on much more of a carry-oriented champion, and you could see that he was so much more comfortable. That massive triple kill, earning the player of the game as well. I mean, well earned, well deserved.
Yeah, it was well earned. I mean, honestly, some of those fights that you look at it, how much of a distraction Cabo proved to be was one of the big things there. His ability to just take Peke out of a fight if he got to him was really a key factor there. That, we saw that fight where 3 people have to come down away from Power of Evil, he's desperately trying to get onto Rhea and try and take out this Vayne. And
all of a sudden he's 1v4.
Yeah, suddenly the Vayne gets the space to open up in those team fights, take out the Vlad, because he's got everybody else around him. And from there, it becomes a fairly easy team fight for Vitality.
Yeah. Origen, though, they don't seem too phased by this. We noted a very change in demeanor in the last games they played last week, and just they looked like they were flushed. They looked like they were out of their depth. Now, even though they've gone down one game, they look like they're still happy, they're still cohesive, and I'll see exactly if they can bounce right on back as we get into picks and bans. Game number 2 in the series. Ryze is removed right away.
So we've had some very interesting picks, not only on this stream, but over on the other one as well. I'm hearing all about Zyra's, Irelia's, Ashe, like a lot of interesting stuff. So,
will it come over here?
Are we going to have the double, triple, quadra support ban that we had in the last game? I mean, Origen can first pick a support. Is it going to be the Nami if we're in a situation where, we have the Bard, the Braum banned away by Vitality? I don't know. Origen may just get baited into it and then Vitality go, haha, kissing plays Clash.
Yeah, they're hoping they forgot about it at this point. Well, the Bard and the Braum are banned, so try saying that about 5 times fast. You got that one taken away.
Yeah, I couldn't even do it twice.
It's pretty difficult. The Ryze in Italy, I mean, so far it's pretty much been exactly the same. On Origin side, wouldn't be surprised if we also see Fizz, maybe the Karma again.
Also, Vitality with counterpick can either give that to Nuke Duck, which didn't go so well last week when they were like LeBlanc counterpick into Vlad, didn't work. Or they could look to counterpick top lane for Cabo. Now with that ability to play more carries, it widens the pool, which allows you a lot of different pickups here. It's going to be the Kindred that's banned away. We did not see any presence in the last pick and ban phase, which in days gone by would be a very surprising thing, but Kindred did get a little changed. Not enough to drop Kindred directly out of the meta, but certainly just adjusted their strength when it comes to that jungle priority. No longer 100% to be expected in picks and bans.
Yeah, we might see Mighty Bear back on the Elise. The Sivir is now banned away. Expeke will have to try his hand at something different this time around, but it's the only AD carry touched.
That means Karma and Nami are both available here for supports. The Alistair would be up for hybrid as well. Deficio talked a lot about hybrid's Janna and how much he would like to play that for a little bit of lane dominance, but didn't really fit in the setup in the last game. So for Origen, where do they go first pick? Is it the jungle matchup? Do they take the Elise? We know Amazing tends himself towards the Gragas. The Rek'Sai is available as well. Honestly, 6.11, we just don't have our first picks locked down.
No, it changed a lot. Even compared to like a massive patch that like the mid-season was bringing. It's crazy.
Vlad would be the one, perhaps, if there was one pick that you look at that is available here, but it was unsuccessful for Origen in the last game.
Speak of the devil. And he will appear. Instantly picked that one up for Power of Evil right now. So the answer back onto Vitality. Let's see what they do decide to take. We talked about Swain still possibly being a strong choice, but they don't have to worry about the mid lane just yet. Looks like the Karma might be chosen. Mighty Bear still favoring that Elise. And we will get 1 and 2 lock-ins. Yeah,
that now obviously can be flexed between mid and support here. We may see Vitality just say, okay, well, we'll decide that on our last rotation, depending on what Origen have picked up here. Allows them to dictate a little bit more of the duo setup for the matchup.
Maybe pondering a bit more global presence here, and hybrid giving a little nod over.
I mean, Nami is one of the top supports that's available right now in this setup. with the Karma, you don't really know. You can't exactly buy into where it's going to go right now. And the one thing that Nami brings that the other sustain supports tend to bring a little bit less of, when you look at the Sona, the Soraka, you've got a lot of disengage, engage potential, like crowd control. There's a lot of more versatility in the kit than just, okay, I'm going to heal up. Of course, Sona always has the flash with the crescendo, but kind of turns you into an ult bot.
Not so much for the Nami, as Hybrid does lock in the Mermaid, and we also get to see, of course, the Rek'Sai from Amazing now. Been not ever really completely out of the meta, but we've been seeing it a little bit more and more lately than what we were used to. On the other side, Vitality, they could go right back onto the Lysandra choice. Nuke Duck, don't do it. don't do it, Nuke Duck.
Please don't do the LeBlanc into Vlad again. Was not particularly impressed with that matchup. You know, we've heard people talk about the Swain. I don't know whether Nuke Duck has been putting in the hours on that Swain for mid lane.
No, they decide to opt for the Azir instead. They also take the Ezreal for Raya, so this is a bit more back, a bit more pokey focused composition for Vitality so far.
Also can go forward though.
That's true, they have a speed boost. I give you that.
He's the kind of player that is like, hey, I'm just gonna get.
That's right. He's just gonna arcane shift into the enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot about that.
It just allows you to follow up with the auto if you don't hit the Q. It's great.
Yeah,
you
there you go.
Constantly be going aggressive. So yeah, it's going to allow them now to look at their top lane. Karma is going to be support. So good luck ever killing Ezreal and Karma. Can't really trade forward into that lane.
A lot of poke here.
What have to play a little bit more hesitant of a lane into it.
What is Origen going to round this out with? What are they looking to do with this composition?
They
so
may
far?
very well go Ashe here, just for some engage potential, because that's one of the things that this lineup now is lacking, is that apart from the Nami wave, you've got kind of follow-up crowd control.
So Lucian is locked in at the last second. The Jax is turned back into a Poppy. So they've still got the disengage, but they take Lucian, who was hit by the nerf bat on this patch.
Yeah, he was. I don't think it's enough to significantly take him out of the meta. It's enough to affect his laning phase. His piercing light is now slightly shorter when it comes to the range on the end of it. So you're going to hit less of them coincidentally, or targeting through a minion and going. It's not that big of a factor when you look at everything else that the Lucian brings with the Black Cleaver build that we're seeing.
So the last choice they've decided to save for Cabo Shard. Does he go right back on the Olaf? It still worked out in spades for him last game.
He could do, and played into the Poppy matchup and looked to be fairly strong there. I mean, Lucian, you can still get onto him and blow him up, but he's a little bit more mobile. But key factor in this one for Vitality, they've got the Olaf, and now they've got themselves budget Sivir coming from support. Pop the mantra, pop the shield, and suddenly everybody's flying forward. So Vitality have got themselves a movement speed on top of that, and Origen don't have the same engage to really punish Vitality this time around.
Yeah, so Vitality definitely showing some versatility on their side, but we knew they wanted to chase people down. We spoke correctly. Should have all the tools to do it this time around. Origen, they've got a bit of disengage, they've got a bit of slipperiness to them, and they've got some mobility as well, but I am a little bit concerned for the laning phase.
For Vitality?
For Origen.
For Origen. Yeah, I mean, you're never going to kill the duo lane in the bottom side. Laning phase for Vlad typically goes his way post like levels 8, 9, once you got the levels under him. So the early onset, I would agree for the mid lane, and the top lane, I'd be worried for Origen. When it comes to bottom lane, Lucian, Nami, very difficult to actually punish, and I don't really think there's going to be too many situations where Origen are going to be moving forward into an Ezreal and a Karma and then get punished by the Karma. So certainly it is one that we'll watch, keep our eyes on, and figure out exactly how Origen are going to manage against the Olaf from Cabashard once again.
Oh yeah. Well, enough about what we think. Why don't you guys keep on hitting us up at Twitter, #OGWin if you think Origen can take this as their first victory of the split, or if Vitality will close it out with a 2-0, their first 2-0. It would be, since they've just had a couple of ties across the board. I'm sure they're sick of them already. We love ties.
We do. I try and wear one for every show, Pyro.
Mm-hmm. So far, so good.
So far, so good as we load up onto the Rift. Man, if Origen end up 0-6, that is a real departure from where we were expecting them to be, even with the loss of Sven and Mithy. We were like, okay, forgiven hybrid. This still is a near suitable replacement. Would never have lived up to it directly, but it has been catastrophic in the the failure department so far as we're third series in.
That being said, it's not the same circumstances, but we saw a massive early stumbling block out of Origen in the spring, and they made it all the way to the finals despite that. It could just be the Origen boom and bust cycle. I don't know.
Now that raises an interesting question, Pyra, as I refresh myself and leave
Gotta stay hydrated,
a weird gap. Yeah, that, however, has big consequences in a best-of-2 scenario. When we're working on a point system, you cannot afford to consistently lose potential opportunities at 3 points time and time again. However, bottom lane, Peke's going to check in.
Oh, never face check. You should know better. Has to burn his flash real quick, like a lot to follow up. Exhaust onto Kasing. Peke should be able to escape, but Hybrid takes a chunk of damage as well. Raya even tanking one turret shot. Let's see the damage report. 3 summoners on the side of Vitality, 2 on the side of Origen. They actually get off maybe a little bit better.
But the problem is now it's going to concede all of the laning phase. We spoke about how Lucian should be fine with Nami. You just farm up fairly effectively. The thing is now, for Vitality, they have ensured themselves an exceptionally big difference in time between the level 2 here, between themselves and Peke and Hybrid. Now Peke's no flash. Hybrid does have his, which is still obviously still beneficial, but it's all about how the rest of this lane is going to go. I'm going to keep my eyes on bottom side because, you know, Vitality, they aren't rushing it down. Yeah, they are just taking a couple.
No. Started out, we actually saw the same end result with just a slight CS lead for the Vitality side in the Hybrid lane, or excuse me, Hybrid taking the damage in the Australia lanes we saw last game. But yeah, really, really rough with all the poke. Even nails another Mystic shot right through the minions. There's just so much poke here.
At this point, Origen have to just concede so much distance in the lane here because you can see Vitality, they push themselves up past their own melee creeps. So as long as they don't hit with autos onto Origen, they won't actually take the aggro from the minion wave here. So Vitality, they're not actually losing too much here as they push forward. They're really harassing down Peke. Already have a waves advantage over him when it comes to CS. And they're punishing it with the health onto Hybrid as well. Just taking him down and poking again and again. Still level 1 for Origen. Mid lane Victor, we spoke about this in the previous game. Going to be able to at least withstand the Vlad for now.
Yeah, that matchup definitely discussed Outlink. Power of Evil favoring it right now. Was able to push up just a little bit. Curious to see where these junglers go because Mighty Bear back on this Elise. He had so much pressure last game, but he obviously directed it down towards the bottom where there were solo lanes. This time, there's another Infernal Drake, so we might even see it even further down bot.
Yeah, I mean, Kasing just dropped an early ward. Just a spot to see whether Amazing was coming down. It was good timing because he actually ran into Amazing in the river. So knows that if they're that far pushed up, they have to be warding Tribush, warding River, making sure that there's no gank path from this right side that is unseen on the way into the lane. But for Vitality, this couldn't have been a much better start for their bottom lane. It's a poke lane, and they already got a level advantage and a CS advantage.
So Peke finally is able to hit 3 alongside Hybrid. Still having a lot of trouble. He has caught up a bit in farm, but he's being punished for it. Kasing straightforward and through. Bind right onto him. Mighty Bear coming around the side. Can he nail the cocoon? He does, flashing forward, and Peke, even with the heal, he's not going to last very long. That's First Blood, and it's Raya who picks it up.
Once again, it's just another play from Mighty Bear that opens the game up. However, Cabochard, very similar to game 1, has to be careful with Amazing around the top side. All of that trade from Kasing looked to be a little over-aggressive, but the fact was he was burning the dash from Peke. No flash and no dash available meant Peke only had heal. It was not enough after the flash cocoon, and Mighty Bear from last week, where we weren't too sure on his performance, has really helped the early game of Vitality this week. Cabo top lane though.
Pick the bop up for just a second. Cabochard going a little bit low, but the bike is very dangerous. He could pick up Soaz, but no! The minions can't finish the job. And the gank is successful, but it was real close.
Same thing as in game 1 here. Cabo gets focused in the early game and very nearly manages to pick himself up a kill. He trades so heavily onto Soaz, and as you said, minions nearly got it, but it was Amazing tanking them up that kept him alive. But for Vitality, they're going to teleport right back up there with Cabochard, try and keep that pressure on because they know Cabo can open up a big disparity between himself and Soaz because Soaz didn't get that kill. So it doesn't really assist Soaz all that much, but if Amazing comes back around, that's an Olaf with no flash. Is he anticipating a gank 30 seconds later up in that top lane?
Knowing what he was able to do last game, they got a keen off on him. Power taking a chunk of laser damage, burning down. The pool was still on him. Now we turn our attention back up towards the top after the narrow escape. Can Cabo Shard pull it off himself? Very low, no ghost to walk it out. He gets slowed, he gets taken out. It's Amazing with another kill.
Much better from Amazing this game. Last game he was getting killed by Mighty Bear, but bottom lane there's a trade. It's going to really expire after Kasing can't quite get the lockdown. But Amazing goes from being killed in the early game twice now to getting 2 kills for himself. He's going to be a very tanky Rek'Sai by focusing on Cabo Shard and now assisting Soaz significantly in the top lane.
And Mighty Bear has had no presence as a contrast to his last game. He's just going to be on cleanup duty for the time being.
So Mighty Bear's focus was on where Vitality already had their lead. He was looking bottom side. He
did get the assist.
He wanted to be able to continue getting the advantage for Rhea and Kasing in that bottom lane. They still hold themselves a battle wave in advantage, but you can see Pekka and Hybrid now trading a little bit more effectively now, looking to go forward with the Lucian again and again. So Mighty Bear looked to expand on a lead that was already there, whereas Amazing actually creates a sense of lead up in the top side for Origen, and it's what honestly Origen have been lacking, is the ability to get their lanes into a position where they can maybe carry. Soaz could be in that situation, but he didn't get the kills. They went over to Amazing,
who is not finding a whole lot for himself to take in the jungle. Might as well just start focusing back around the sides of the lanes. Is he interested in coming down on the bottom side? Maybe hard to do with that ward in the brush outside the jungle. Instead, he's just going to grab himself the Gromp. See Mighty Bear hanging out in the top side, trying to bait Soaz in. No teleport, but flashes available and a ghost available for Cabo Shard. Soaz is still playing this one fairly safe, though.
Look at the ward and vision control on the bottom side for Origen. This is actually fairly significant for this early on in the game. 3 in the jungle, 2 pinks in the river. They know that Mighty Bear cannot be in his bottom side jungle right now. He can only be top, which is why Soaz is playing so passive here. Now Amazing even is going to get the Rift Spirit. If Amazing was playing something that wasn't Rek'Sai, maybe the Elise, you may have seen him look for that Infernal Drake with this knowledge that Mighty Bear was nothing there. The fact of the matter is Rek'Sai can't do that on her own, and no real presence to get there. But what Rek'Sai does have a strength on is gank, paths into the lane.
There we go. So he turns for Kasing, who just keeps on walking, but Raya, a lot of damage dealt onto him. He's going to have to nom on the biscuit to stay healthy there. So Amazing might have surprised him for just a moment, but they do walk it out. Mighty Bear still back in his own jungle. Soaz going to clear some wards as well. So much quieter game compared to what we had in the previous one, despite the fact that it went to 45 minutes in. Yeah. Vision control being paramount to these two teams to start things off. Very even, 400 gold differentiating, and that's Vitality who has that lead, but mostly off of CSing. Power of Evil taking a bit of hope as he damages Nuke right back in return. Game of Plagues on, he goes, but Mighty Bear is there. So is Amazing.
Yeah, so is Amazing, but looking at some of the plays Amazing has made in the last couple of seconds, Amazing attempted to get in the bottom side, didn't get the knockup, so unfortunately wasn't quite as clean as they would have liked. They would have been able to at least get the flash from Kasing. But for Vitality's sake, Amazing has been causing a lot more trouble this game than he was in the last. And because of that, Amazing is like, okay, well, I'm going to play a selfless game here. I'm going to go wards from the Sightstone with level 3 boots for now. Kasing,
knocked him up. He does force the flash away. There's the culling on Kasing, very low. Amazing doesn't need to finish the job. Peke gets it with the last chunk of the culling.
Yeah, the culling just enough to punish Kasing.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Amazing playing altruistically, but he did get the first 2 kills himself, so I'm sure he's not complaining.
But he's now converted that into helping the team out because he's able to ward better, he's able to be around the map better, to facilitate his team on these ganks. So expect him now to stop taking the kills. And
give that blue.
Gets the blue.
Nuke Ducks. So they can't quite take the jungle away just yet. Soaz and Cabo Shard trying to trade. Soaz was already off on the wrong foot, though. And Cabo Shard, Ragnaroks, but not enough damage.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go into the tower, even with his ultimate running. Means Poppy can't blast him back for now, but if Poppy can survive long enough to get that knock-up.
Okay.
There's Rek'Sai.
There are no speed limits on the Autobahn. There's the knock-up. They look for Cabo Shard. Soaz real low. Cabo wants to finish the job. He needs an axe. Can he do it? Minions are chasing as well. Steadfast presence is on. Cabo knows he's a dead man, and he can't secure it. Amazing was his 3rd of the game. In comes Nuke Duck now around the side. He's trying to answer. Flashes for it. Misses.
He doesn't get it.
He secures it. Finally onto Soaz. A double kill for Amazing. This Rek'Sai's everywhere.
Hey, I said Amazing was going to play not for himself. He's turned into getting all the remaining kills from that. Soaz was a very tasty target in the top lane for Cabochard, and Cabo and Nukeduck end up falling during that engage. I mean, Nukeduck flashing into a tower. This has got very sloppy very quickly. So here was the initial play onto Soaz that got him very low. But this is far removed from the play that would eventually run into Cabochard's demise here. This was the Rek'Sai coming up behind. As you said, Autobahn taking that path. So Soaz eats the first axe. Picking it up.
Oh, that was the moment.
Oh, couldn't quite get it. So flashes for the laser.
Oh, he
just doesn't quite get it.
it.
And then Amazing's like, sweet, I got both.
Well, let's go back to relative normalcy. Origen, they picked up a gold lead here. They're a little under 1,000. There is an Infernal Drake on the line in that bottom side, but if they can create enough pressure, they may be able to start pushing. It's a lot of Vitality members out there. On Vitality side either.
An Amazing backed with like 2k gold, just picked up a Cinderhulk completely. He went from Machete into Stalker's Cinderhulk.
Guess who's not dying anytime soon?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not going to die anytime soon. Now, we've seen the return of Rek'Sai a lot because top laners and mid laners, as they always would do, top laners and supports tend to be bringing a little less tankiness, a little bit more damage focus out of the top lane specifically. So that's why you've seen Rek'Sai come back. You just go full tank and you have presence in team fights. And that's what we're going to see from Amazing, is follow-up in game.
Speaking of junglers, Mighty Bear waiting, not moving. Oh, and he misses the cocoon. Amazing.
Mighty Bear is playing the game of, I'm just going to stand still. And, nothing's going to be able to spot me with that Rek'Sai vision.
It's a very effective tactic if you're in Jurassic Park, but
very low just from being in the lane.
Yeah, Origen's having a lot more trouble on the Ezreal than he was on the Vayne right now. Still pretty close, but they have caught Amazing this time. The second time around, he does go in for Rhea, but not enough damage. Shut down gold to the Ezreal. That's going to be big.
A little bit over-aggressive being in that jungle. Was trying to tunnel out, and the Karma got the lockdown just in time, though.
The moment we say he's not going to die anytime soon, he does.
Yeah, I know.
And Cabo, his days might be numbered too, but there's no more charges available, and Cabo is able to get out with the Ghost and the ulti.
This is a very weird game when you look at how it's played out. So Cabo's been camped fairly effectively by Origen, and then that transitioned into Amazing playing super aggressive pretty much at all times. Moved up mid lane, has Mighty Bear here, Cocoon lands.
He's going really aggressive too, but this time he's in some trouble. Hemo Plague was already burned through, and they try to turn back. Tower will secure the kill onto Nukeduck, and now they've turned their attention to the Mighty Bear. He's got tower tanking. Or rather, Soaz got tower tanking. And Amazing smites him down.
Smite down for the kill for Amazing. Origen are looking so much better in this game. They have had such a better early game than we've come to expect. And honestly, Amazing is showing up the right place, right time, all the time.
And he's even able to mop up all the kills. 5 on the board, 2 assists. He's at 100% kill participation in this early game. It's a complete turnaround from the one we just saw.
It is. It's such a big turnaround. Amazing is just able to be everywhere on the map that Vitality needed to be. The decision to camp Cabochard in the early game has really paid dividends because Vitality haven't been able to get anything else really running for them. They haven't been able to utilize the TP to get Cabo into other lanes, and they need extra time for him. Yeah, Amazing is soloing Dragon. He kind of is stupidly far ahead from where he should be at this point in the game as a Rek'Sai.
But this enables them to do so much. Let's take a look at this crazy fight in the mid. Power, it was a real risky play there, but they managed to get in the end.
Yeah, I mean, Power, he was so close to getting a kill initially just from the Proto Belt into the Tides of Blood, but ends up picking it up the second time. Soaz, again, teleport comes in this time from Soaz, is able to get there with the knockup straight away, and Mighty Bear gets smite down. And Origen, from what has honestly looked like a real tough set of 5 games before this, is this the game? Is this the one that is going to add a win into the column, or at least a tie?
Well, a win on the game. I mean, it's got to do so many wonders for your confidence after such a rough start to the split already. The last game looked infinitely better from what we saw last week. This game looking infinitely better from what we saw last game. Origen really running the table now. 2 towers. They keep on moving up on the top side. Vitality are really on the back foot here, and we're seeing the flip side of what looked like a very, very firm and strong team for the most part.
Thing is, Origen now pushing in for the inner tower.
Yeah, there's no one here to stop
It's only Raya
this.
that's pushing in the bottom outer. So again, another good trade in favor of Origen. From a Vitality squad that looked very strong in Game 1 when it came to at least making the most of getting objectives when Origen were getting small little trades, this has turned completely around. Like, Vitality are struggling to get anything on the map, whereas Origen have started to get every single thing in their path. Like, they've now taken 2 top tier towers, and now get after like good stuff.
Yeah. A pretty solid lead 3000. They have the first. Maybe up over so if anything, try to shut the side. Vitality don't have can take.
Just want to see this game of now. Peck still there.
But
the moment I think into the live action as Soaz is going to back himself away from the Baron pit right now. For Origen, this is one of the best performances out of the 6 games that we've seen from them, although is somewhat reminiscent of their game against G2, where G2 would ultimately turn the game back around and get the 2-0 over Origen. If Origen have the same happen again, that is going to be a devastating result. But right now, they're having trouble taking further objectives around this Baron area. They're getting stalled out a little bit by Vitality,
who, frankly, are in still familiar territory, having long wins when they do take them away. But this time, they've had way less of a clear direction forward, and they're having to rely on being able to catch and outfight Origen.
Yeah, they're also playing from behind with a composition that, you know, has no real way of punishing Origen particularly easily, outside of an Elise Cocoon or Kasing, just getting that movement speed. Makes it very tough for Vitality. Again, ult comes through.
Checking on the Baron, although they had the ward down.
That
comes out a little bit after.
Yeah, it was a fresh ward from Kasing, so Rhea was like, I'll check it with my ult, don't worry. And Kasing's like, hey, these things called wards exist.
I mean, as an AD carry man myself, I didn't know that.
Oh, Mighty Bear flash forward.
Okay. And Kasing flashed, or Hybrid flashed on back, and Power of Evil now looking to chase down the Spider. Hemoplague is on. Is it going to be enough damage? Not quite.
Oof, you can see, though, how much Vitality are having to reach for these engages, reach to try and get any kind of punish. Now Mighty Bear has been pushed back. Amazing and Co. may very well just look for the Baron. They don't commit to it right yet, but Peke wants it.
They're hesitating on this one, trying to bait it out. They do go ahead and start it with just 2. Ghostblade popped, Soaz looking to zone around the side, but Mighty Bear has already healed back up off Fountain Power.
Power's no ult.
Wave goes up. Vitality, can they turn this right now? Forcing the flashback from Origen just by being 5-man stacked. Not enough damage from Origen, and Soaz now a little bit isolated as Amazing comes around to give him some moral support. They're just opting out of the fight.
Opting out, nobody has died yet from this one. Origen were looking a little bit in 2 minds there. I mean, at first, it looked like they wanted to go aggressive. Peke dashed over the wall, but then Amazing didn't follow. They didn't commit to it, and it bought enough time for Mighty Bear and Vitality to get back up towards that river. Now Vitality can fairly easily push down this turret, maybe a second one, but Amazing is looking for a flank if they overextend here.
Some easy gold they could bank on that, finally grabbing the outer turret. Origen still looking to try and punish them on the backside of it. Amazing comes around the side, and the Prey Seeker narrowly just hits. Soaz is tethered, and he just walks away from it. Vitality know how to disengage this one, but we've got a Drake.
Yeah, keep in mind that is only the 2nd tower that Vitality have been able to secure in this game. No dragons secured by the team either, so they've been really struggling. They want to go and try and punish, try and just rush the dragon. This could be a risky thing. Look, Rhea is on his own. Kasing takes half his health and damage.
Yep, see if Rhea can get back to the rest of the team. He does use the Arcane Shift. Dragon secured, but the wave is incoming. Will they be able to find the damage? They turn away. Origen give that one up to Vitality, and their opponents breathe a sigh of relief.
But now Origen, they're looking to pull back up into the top side here. I don't think they can rush down the dragon right now with Vitality still fairly healthy. Vitality are missing mana, but that's about it right now.
Just clearing vision away. Origen aren't able to get anything off of it.
This game has really been stalled out by Origen not really wanting to commit to anything, and Vitality being able to at least deflect some of the engage attempts. But then they haven't been able to punish. They haven't really followed up on all of that deflection.
Amazing takes a quick taxi just to clear away the vision dish. Want to make sure Vitality are in the dark on that Baron. But you're right, Vitality, they've been taking fights, but just like Origen were unable to do last game, they haven't really gotten too much off it. This time, they rushed the dragon, and they managed to get out real quickly. Now, Amazing might be caught, but he does have the Guardian Angel and some team members close to backing him up, and he won't take too much more damage. Very tanky on this Rek'Sai now.
Soaz on the bottom side has his TP. Cabo doesn't quite have Ghost available yet, but his teleport is up. He's not sitting in the bottom lane opposite Soaz, though. So the problem for both teams, actually, is that these fights have been very shallow. It's been like one person gets caught and that's it, and everybody else backs away. It's just been little fight after little fight, again and again, and Vitality have not had the opening they needed, which I guess is partly Origen not giving them that opening, not making that mistake to overextend. Origen, however, have started the Baron.
3 members on it. It's not nearly enough damage. They're going to have to back away. Mighty Bear throws down the ward here, and that Means the game is up for now. So a lot of chicken going on, but no one wants to pull the trigger for good.
And this, we always talk about, is a symptom of unclear shot calling when you just go, well, I think we can win if we get the Baron, and then you just keep trying to get the Baron and you can't get it. Trying to bait, but not actually being able to. It means that Origen feel like they don't actually have too many options available to themselves, because otherwise you would have gone for one of them by now.
Yeah, and they're clearly focusing on it. They send Amazing time and time again to keep the wards cleared out of the pit.
The reason they don't have too many options in particular is no real primary engage for either side. They can't crack mid tower because of the wave clear that comes from the Victor. They can't hold the side lanes both at the same time because they're not running TP on Vlad. So there's no way of them actually exploiting a gap in Vitality's armor without Vitality making a mistake first.
And so far, Vitality have looked better and better the longer this game has gone. They've started to close that gold gap, maybe not in actual numbers, but in relativity, and they've caught Soaz for a second, but Peke sends out the calling, doesn't do that much damage. Very tanky front line of Vitality. The rest of Origen have arrived to the party, though. And as you said, Shallow, some chip damage on both of the teams.
Yeah, both sides. I mean, Power of Evil was coming from the side. One of the teams, didn't see which it was pinging the back pings onto that Vlad. May have been Origen saying, don't commit to this, because they used a fair amount to start it off. But nothing really as a massive commitment. They use a couple of, ultimates, like the culling, that kind of thing. And aside from that, no real expenditure by either team. Which means we're in for a long one here.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those slow builders where it all comes down to one fight that actually ends up having like 5 members aced. But who does this really favor in the late game? The damage coming out.
Hang on. Amazing has started the Baron.
We'll talk about it later. Yep, Baron's up. 3 members on it right now. Ezreal ulti, Clips hybrid. There's a laser. This nuke duck gets bubbled up. TP's canceled.
Yeah, I mean, Origen didn't have vision of where Mighty Bear was, so they didn't really want to 50-50 it against the Elise. That's always a dangerous thing to do. Yes, there's a level advantage for Amazing, but comboing the Q with the Smite from Mighty Bear typically is enough.
All right. Let's talk late game, because we're about to get to it.
Yeah.
Whose composition should be better about fighting? And, okay, never mind. We're back on Baron, guys.
Yeah, no, they're just clearing it out for now.
Okay,
they haven't got a pink ward, though.
No.
So they can't clear it. I mean, the scaling from the Victor from the Ezreal typically makes 2 of the members of Vitality strong. Amazing gets Cocoon.
Yep, they're using the Fangs in. They aren't able to connect too much more, but he does take a lot of damage on the back. The wave comes in, but Vitality are still stacked. 5 in comes Power of Evil. This is the fight that Origen are looking for, and Peke takes out Rhea. The rest of Vitality bopped and knocked all over the place. Double kill for Peke, and they just clean house. Amazing gets his GA popped, but it does not matter. It's going to be Baron time.
But I was going to say Power of Evil could be the deciding factor on this. Vlad gets himself in the fight. A multi-person Hemo Plague forces Vitality away, and that's got to be enough now as Soaz finds Mighty Bear.
Cocoon is on him, but he will have in a few more seconds. The charge back up. And another tower shot. Soaz is going for the long haul here to try and take out Mighty Bear, but a Baron in tow for Origen. Things are starting to look up for this team.
Mighty Bear gets the repel onto the blue ward. Is going to...
Oh, the Praise Seeker.
Oh, he can't get
Taxi.
out.
Oh! The boomerang buckler.
Captain America in action there. Gets it with the buckler, but that's going to be Origen. This is actually going to be them closing out the game. And when you look at it, they're going to be able to deal critical damage. And with a Nexus Tower is exposed right now, Origen should be able to recall, reset, and maybe even push this through with a number of cannon minions here. But they want to play this carefully and make sure that they get enough damage down that they can end this on the next push.
Not trying to get too hyphy. They have themselves an 8,000 gold advantage. They've got every Drake except the one Vitality snuck, or rather rushed down, and they have the Baron buff. So for now, they try to stay safe, except for Peke, who backs right on a ward.
Backing on a ward. I was looking elsewhere on that one. Looked like a fairly simple mistake, but I will double check it on my side of things.
Well, he's technically a rookie in the AD carry role, so he can make a few mistakes, I guess. But Elder Drake is up. That's bad timing. 40 seconds on to Peke. Vitality, though, don't feel safe enough to try and start this off. They do. Never mind. They turned it around.
Yeah, they're going to turn around. Yeah.
They waited just a minute, but there's still the smite here. Amazing is going to be able to sniff this one out right now, and he's going to be calling for the rest of his team. Power's not coming, though. This actually
He's
could
going
just
top.
be a steal attempt.
They're conceding this, apart from the 50-50 steal, which means Soaz realistically shouldn't go in on this.
No, they might have to give this one up. So
Are
they're
they
going to try and send the
blast?
hammer out. They do put the wave, and it just stops the Dragon for just a moment. Vitality are going to secure this, deny the triple buff bonus, and they get themselves a few minutes of a mega buff to use.
But this was what turned the game. Nice wave up through the enclosed spaces, and Power manages to get himself into the fight. Look at how many people are hit by that Hemo Plague, and he's able to just amplify the damage of everything else there. That allows Peke to get the double kill and set this fight up. And honestly, we talked about like how would one of these teams be able to take a fight without any real initiation. That was finally the overextension from Vitality into a fight that Origen had been looking for.
Cabo
Close
had a
on the
close
steal, 70 health remained.
Hey man, we've seen stranger things with Olaf axes in the European LCS, that's for sure.
And this was just a tidy up kill onto Mighty Bat.
Yep. Oh, I gotta watch that buckler again. Look at this.
Got him. But what we do have to look at is Origen pushing through on the top side now. They're about to stack up a fairly sizable wave here. Vitality, they have Victor, they got Ezreal, but aside from that...
They've got the Elder Dragon buff here, a little bit amplifying their one
Mighty Bear.
Infernal. Mighty Bear tanks a lot of damage after being bubbled up, but
Not a lot of
not
damage
actually
done.
a lot. He's got a lot of armor, it's okay.
Well, here's one of the problems here is, yes, okay, Lucian typically wouldn't do too much from that, but this Lucian build with the Black Cleaver, with the Ghost Blade, without the percentage penetration that comes from the Last Whisper items, you actually really struggle to deal with tanks in the late game on Lucian, which is why we'll actually probably see Peke swap completely, sell the Ghost Blade once he's kind of item capped on his current items, and look for the likes of a Last Whisper instead of the Black Cleaver. Get yourself extra crit, get yourself those kind of tank buster stats where you don't have to hit a tank 6 times to reduce their armor. Every time you hit them it hurts, but we're a long way away from that happening despite being 43 minutes in.
Yeah, there's a lot of armor that he's going to have to start shredding through. In all honesty, between Cabo Shard and Mighty Bear, it's starting to be a little bit tougher for the new Origin AD carry. 44 minutes on the clock we're about to hit. 5k gold for Origin, 7 towers to 3. But it's been Vitality holding firm, saying, no, you will not pass into this base and take us all out. But, you know, Naked Dead Inhibitor, Naked Nexus turrets in the mid lane, they've been able to push that back for now. But they've lost out, or they've now lost the Dragon, the Elder Dragon stack. They're going to have to be very, very careful not to get caught up by Origin and risk getting the game ended on them once again.
Yeah, but at the same time, Vitality, they still have potency in the late game. They've still got the Ezreal, they've got the Victor. And if Olaf finds his way through the fight onto Peke and take him out, that only really leaves Power of Evil as a threat in the fights. And he's a tough threat to deal with, but it's kind of on Cabo Shard's shoulders. A good flank, just like Power of Evil did in the last game, could turn the fight in the side of Vitality. So it's still on a knife edge, this game. We got to the point where the gold lead actually isn't significant anymore. It's only 5k between Origen and Vitality. We're at the point where one fight wins or loses the game.
Oh,
and Origen think they've got the fight here.
Yep, clearing the waves, getting a little damage onto Cabo Shard. So as amazing there to join him. The rest of the team starting to stack up. They need to push the minions away. Vitality do, but now they've got more minions to deal with and more lanes, but they do get to clear away. Origin are foiled for now.
Foiled for now, but with the mid lane inhibitor being down, it's going to push the minions through and allow Origin to siege up bot side, but they haven't got the best siege either.
No, they may want to wait out for another Baron, in all honesty. It's going to be a minute and a half before that comes up. They obviously have had the neutral objective advantage in the vast majority of this game.
Yeah, this has been an incredibly tentative game, though. Real slow paced. Vitality maybe looking to speed up onto Peke. Inhib's even back up now.
Yep. Inhib back up in the middle. No more tower to defend it. So the base is a little bit more open, but Vitality have managed to seal the holes for now. It'll be very tough to see if Origin can break into this one. Tense moment for them. They had a chance to maybe push in a little bit too far earlier, but they did opt to play it out a lot safer. This team just looks so much different, so much better than what we saw from last week, but still, some problems are there.
I mean, you've heard the expression, the unstoppable force meets the immovable object.
Yep.
This is like the opposite. This is two things that don't want to move. Just standing aside from each other like on a pitched battle. Like, yeah, we see you. We see you for now. Neither team really wants to fight. It's going to be the Baron that you're talking about that will actually set this up.
Yeah.
Which does lead for a very slow pace to this one.
Well, after what we saw in the last game, we couldn't have later games that are just so much more opposite. Everyone's starting to cap out on their builds. We have Guardian Angels aplenty. I mean, they'll have to shred through quite a lot to finish it off.
Yeah, we're basically playing Hexakill right now.
Yeah.
It's actually 6v6. Also, another thing we're starting to see compensate for the lack of crit in the Lucian build is the Zeke's Harbinger. Hybrid's had it for a long time in this game now.
Yeah.
So he's picked that one up.
You talked about that actually quite at length in your article a few weeks ago.
It did. Ooh, Rhea.
Oh boy, Rhea, half the health is taken. They knock him in, they take him down. It's Soaz, who finally picks it up with a hammer shot. And now, Nuktuk is going incredibly low. Origen have found their mark to get back into this and end it. Mighty Bear isolated from the team. Kasing now has to speed himself up, but there is a naked inhibitor, all for the taking, and Origen are right on it.
Yeah, at this point, Origen is just going to go inhib and maybe even just look to push with the cannon minion that's there. I mean, look, Ezreal and Victor are not alive here, so depending on who comes back to defend and who is in position for Vitality, this might just be an attempted push onto the end. They got that Mountain Drake, remember?
Yep, not a lot of minions, but they don't seem to need him right now. It's a 4v3 looking for Cabochard to try and chase him down to finish the job. Amazing. Picks up Kasing. This could be the game. Origen looking to find problem. That's the last Nexus turret, and in a 48-minute slugfest, it looked like it was slowing down, but that's going to be it. Origen come up with a victory to finish the series at 1-1.
Origen with an important first win of the split for themselves, and I mean, there were so many questions about the replacement AD carry coming in for Peke, but you have to admit, there was a sense of more togetherness for the team, a little bit more on the same page than we saw in week 1. Maybe it was the compositions, maybe it was just
Something.
the calling.
Peke magic.
I wouldn't say it was enough to breathe a sigh of relief for every problem, but still Origen looking better. An improved Origen in week 2.
Well, the sense was that they could either keep falling apart and Origen would just completely collapse, but they did the opposite. They turned it around, they said, no, enough is enough. We're going to start playing better, and we saw the result today. There's a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of split left to do it. But this already looks like a changed team.
We were talking about this earlier, that if you last split saw 0-4 on an Origen record, you'd be like, oh, this is the worst thing in the world. And then, of course, now that we're at best of 2s, that's 2 best of 2s, which is 6 points that they lost out on, but it was only 1 week of games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're clearly looking to fix the issues that they've got, and as a temporary point now onto their points total for the split, I guess they'll not breathe a happy sigh, but it's a sigh of relief. But for their opponents, the other side for Vitality,
A sigh of exasperation at another time, maybe?
yeah, another tie for Vitality, 1-1. It looked pretty good for them in the first game. They seem to have Origen's number, but the adaptations that Origen made in game 2 and the way that Amazing kind of bullied the early game for Origen really forced Vitality to struggle. They had no way of engaging for themselves, and realistically couldn't make their own plays and had to rely on mistakes coming from Origen.
And admittedly, they were able to punish those when they did come about, but Origen tightened their play, they tightened the grip on the game, and in the end, they were the ones who utilized the very, very powerful Vladimir, not to mention just Amazing's big lead in the early game to really kind of move it ahead for them. Still a very long game. I guess we can pretty much get used to that when Vitality is involved, but all said and done, I mean, yeah, we were looking at quite a lot to finish this one out. 90 minutes or so between the whole series, and that is,
Long
it really
series.
tests your mental fortitude, and I think Origen passed.
Yeah, well, certainly picking up a point, they will, as I said, breathe a slight sigh of relief. I want to look maybe at Rhea. Yeah.
We're going to get it eventually.
We'll get it eventually. I want to look at his performance. Game 1, the Vayne comes out. Pretty good. A couple of moments where he's looking over-aggressive, perhaps.
The Ezreal was less impressive than the Vayne, for sure.
I think, though, it was a tough situation for him to be in. They kind of got such a good start to the game, though. Like, they got that level 1 fight in the bottom lane where Peke face checked in, and I was thinking, okay, well, this is a 1 lane here. Unfortunately, couldn't really translate it further. Mighty Bear tried to assist in the bottom lane, but it was the damage that was done topside and the damage done by Amazing in the early game that really stemmed a lot of the improvement of that bottom lane here. And I just felt like there were times Rhea was trying to make plays, and then right at the end he pushes forward, gets caught out, and if he was dead, realistically Vitality were relying on Nuke Duck, and they just couldn't in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they put a lot of their eggs in that basket, and obviously it paid off for them when they had something like Lissandra last week for Nuke Duck. But bringing in Rhea, obviously a very different player than Police. We've seen him have, overall, a pretty solid performance. However, it really was, like you said, down to the jungler presence in both of those games. The jungler getting ahead, getting a couple kills, getting assists, and making plays around the map to snowball lanes very, very early on really made a massive amount of difference, and it really set the tempo for the rest of it.
It did. They were very sloppy games, so both of them.
Oh, admittedly,
like,
yeah.
Mistakes.
When you have one kill traded back and forth for like 30 minutes, you know you're in for a little bit of awkwardness. But at the end, you know, we saw Vitality with better fights in Game 1 and Origen with better fights in Game 2.
Yeah, an interesting one, just from a lot of what was going on with a lot of the plays.
Yeah.
Not quite the same interesting that we've seen from other teams that, you know, are showing up when we weren't expecting them to, but, you know, it's a start down a long road of improvement here for Origen.
Absolutely, and Vitality, too, showing that they have some stuff, but they also have some things to work on. For now, though, we are going to go ahead and send it side stage with Pulse, who's standing by with Xpeke.
Cheers, guys. And as you mentioned, yeah, I am here with Xpeke here on the couch. And first off, those games were very long and very much slugfest of a game. So what happened in both of the games? Because it felt like both of them stalled out. Was it composition? Was it just like game pace?
Well, I'm not sure of the reason for it. I also think that the games were really slow because no team wanted to commit hard. And well, I think both of us felt like whoever was going to commit into the fight would lose the fight, because no one of us really had a clear half flank, you know, like they had an Olaf, which is good at flanking, but if he engages alone and we kite, we can kill him, and then they lose the whole fight. We had the same with Poppy as well, like it's similar. If she goes alone, she will get kited and she will die, and I think both of us were playing to wait for the enemy mistake, and that just, yeah, it just happened for us. For first game, they had more Drakes, so they were happy with it. For second game, we had more games, so we were happy with waiting, and I feel like both games came down to the pressure of the Drakes and the pressure that you have from the early that allows you to control more the vision around us as well.
Yeah, it definitely came down to like the late games and the dragons you guys had accrued. Of course, talk about you moving to ADC and how that transition was, because like ADC is very much a different role to mid lane. So yeah, how was that for you transitioning?
It's fun, obviously, because it's cool always to play new roles. You learn a lot, and the only problem right now is that. A problem. It's a good thing. Every game I'm learning a lot, but it's a bad thing because it just means that I'm making so many mistakes. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me because every game I'm playing, even here in LCS, I play one game, I take a trade on lane, and I'm like, oh, I could have done this. Oh, I could have done this. I die somewhere in a fight. Oh, I could have. Enough for me to know how I have to play, and especially there is many more matchups in bot lane since it's a duo lane, and I don't know them all, but luckily Hybrid is helping me a bit with how to understand which matchups win, which one don't, and well, trial and error is helping.
Yeah, exactly. I can imagine it would be really tough moving to that role, but luckily Hybrid's there with you and also playing in that duo lane. What was the idea to move you into the ADC role rather than get like an external ADC? Was it like the high effect and you just want to have you and the team for the moral support and just the Xpeke effect, I guess, or was it other reasons?
No, at the moment, well, the thing is we didn't have any idea of looking for a new idea. We wanted to make it work. Like at first we were with a new lineup, right? Our bot lane was completely new, so we knew that at first we would be bad until they clicked together and the whole team clicked together. And the thing is, it just came really suddenly that we felt like it was just not working out. It was not a problem after losing so many games. Like we lost a lot of games. It just felt like we were getting more down and more down and more down. At some point, it's like it became hard to know what to do, and it's like. It became, instead of learning, at first we were learning, and it came to a point that we were on a stall, and it was like, okay, so we need to start trying something, and yeah, we looking for a new AD in so short term is not ideal either, because if we just bring an AD that is a sub, we can do it, but we don't want to be trying a new AD every week either, and we decided, okay, so we can play with me for now and try out new ADs at the same time until we find that can be suitable, and at least I have even though I'm not the best, I have an idea of how we want to play as a team, and it can help a bit for us to learn, meanwhile, until we find a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, for now, it seems to be working. Those games were much better in this best of two, and the last game, of course, you won. So thank you very much for the interview, Peke, and congratulations on how well it's going for the team now. We're going to send it now over to the analyst desk to take a look at the game.
Thank you very much, Paul. So great interview there with Expected, kind of all taking it in stride and saying, well, I'm learning a lot, if anything, so that's something. And obviously better from OG, but I do want to echo something that you said during this game. This has not been a high-level series.
No, this was a series with tons of mistakes from both teams, individual mistakes from players.
So who would you be harder on as a judge in this one? Vitality with the new ADC that they picked for themselves, or OG? Obviously they picked it for themselves as well, but having an ADC that usually plays mid. So who's more at fault?
Well, it's funny because coming into this, I would criticize Origen quite a lot for, in my opinion, not having the proper setup around having a new dual lane and Forgiven and Hybrid coming into week 1, not even signing a sub that could be a possibility or a possible player to use. Like that Cyanide as the sub, and he doesn't really play anymore.
Yo, the Valerian is a legendary AD carry
here. So I'm like, that to me was a big question mark. What if your bot lane didn't click? Like you should be ready in case something goes wrong. Also hindsight, obviously, but then you see this game here where Pekka steps in, and because Pekka is such a smart player, and because he of course has good mechanics, he can actually perform okay. I'm not going to say he played well, but he played okay. He wasn't dead weight. He had some good plays. He had some bad plays. The problem for me is more Vitality. Like this is a team, even with the changes, in my opinion, should be doing way better when you play against a mid laner as an AD carry for 3 days of practice.
Vitality have demonstrated that they really don't know how to play with an early game lead, because both games now went past 40 minutes, and it seems to be the tendency that they still hold on to that record of longest or wins.
No, they broke it.
Well, now
they
they've
have
changed
the fastest losses. This is a slow loss.
This is a very slow loss, but as a team, they seem to not have that decisiveness to go, okay, let's just pull the trigger now, let's force a fight, let's push our advantage where we can. And for a team that last split just seemed to have that go button, seemed to play a lot more round Cabochard, being very much about, let's just get this guy fed and run away with the game. Their playstyle seems to have shifted a lot more, and maybe that's just with the introduction of Mighty Bear.
Well,
it's tough to say where that
However,
is
they were
from.
focusing top lane a lot. We have
It
a
was
couple
Origen
of
doing
replays.
it
Origen
again
was
with
focusing top lane
Cabochard,
a lot.
yes.
We're gonna take a look at some of the plays there. The amazing SOAS tandem was working greatly.
So, I mean, what works for Origen? Just get SOAS fed. I mean, if you're struggling, if you know that you have an AD carry that isn't doing so well, just put all of your pressure into the top lane, because remember that OG versus G2 last week, SOAS went to town on his Fizz, so all they really needed to do was, hey, let's put a bit more resources up into the top lane, let's get SOAS in a good spot.
I
where he
love
can
that
run away.
everything had to happen for this to happen. They're like, no, we're not going mid, we're not going bottom lane, we're finally going to give SOAS his resources.
yeah, it's strange because 2 games now where Origen have managed to win. Both games were amazing, hard camping
They
for
only won one.
SOAS.
Yeah.
Well, they won obviously the game last week, where it was the same. No, they didn't win the game last
They
week.
didn't
But
win a game last
Sorry,
week.
Amazing had a game last week. In the early game, we also camped for SOAS on the Fizz game. Yes, and then he was like super fed, and you're like, oh, they might win this game. But they obviously didn't, so you guys are correct on that one. But it was amazing camping for SOAS, and it worked. This game it worked again. And then he goes to mid after, helps out Power Vivo, who then becomes like the big carry in these team fights on Vladimir. So I think Origen in the last game can look back at some good early game moves. I think Vitality cannot play from behind, like at all. Like as soon as they fall behind early and Cabochard is behind, they just get picked off left and right, and then they walk into a few team fights where suddenly they're a little bit over-aggressive, and Origen just played better in the last game.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I mean, as a team, it just seemed that Origen are looking a lot healthier. We talked about it in Game 1, whereas just the whole team, in terms of their decision-making, their playmaking, looked a lot stronger. But
I want to say yes and no on that one.
yeah, because if you have a look at the fights moving forward, I mean, there was still definitely some shaky positioning things in terms of actually setting up the plays.
I guess the reason we can say it looks better is because week 1 looked so bad for this team.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
So they started basically from 0 and then moved to maybe like a 20 out of 100 or something. I'm just making that number up, but they basically look slightly better, and I think it's more for Origen about things we can't comment on because it's things behind the scene. Like how do you handle a loss? How do you adapt between series? How do you handle like losing a scrim and then getting ready for the next one? I think that's where this team is going to be stronger than when they had Forgiven. In game right now, there were still obviously problems. Expected, like funny enough, you have a new AD carry here and you had a rough start. So I think it's more what's going to happen between the LCS games that's much better for Origen.
Yeah, I mean, We, of course, don't exactly know what went down, and in the end, if it was they being at fault for not being prepared into week 1 for their bottom lane combo, I liked what Pekka said about it. You know what? It's better that we now look for a new AD carry and then get it right from the first time, and that this goes on now so they can practice as a team. At least we'll see what happens. Player of the game, something we have to touch on. Power of Evil played great, but amazing. Set so much up in this game.
Amazing when he wants to go crazy. He can really go crazy. It's funny with Amazing. There are games where we don't really see him, and then there are games where every single gank he pulls off is just fantastic, and like he snowballs multiple lanes. This game was obviously snowballing. Source first up in the top lane. Then he went mid lane, did the same with Power of Evil, even played well in team fights. I think Amazing had such a great game, and I think he's like the leader I'm looking at that Origen needs, because he's been on this team now for a while. He's very vocal about everything, both in-game and outside of the game. And I think when he's playing well, Origen does have a strong enough early game to actually get leads and then try and finish these games.
But part of that game is also the fact that Vitality allowed Power of Evil to get to such a late game where Vladimir, they set up this 1-3-1, Vladimir was getting all this free farm, and then when he joined those late game team fights, he just demolished Vitality.
Yeah. Amazing, of course, on the bad end of a lot of criticism lately as well, and the whole team, to be honest. So as a team, this must be a very, very refreshing win for them, and hopefully they can get off to a good start. OG taking a game. However, over on LCS 1, H2K versus Giants, H2K had taken game 1. What happened in game 2?
So it was quite a messy game overall. Pretty much the entire early game was just picks. HDK were getting picks because they had superior vision, whereas Giants were getting picks because they had Twisted Fate Jhin, which is fantastic at setting up sort of global pick comps. And the early game was just back and forth skirmishes over and over and over again until HDK finally took a greater advantage with their vision control, which enabled them to actually set up for that Baron. And with the Baron, it was simply a matter of them closing out the game. So it was quite messy because both teams just gave away kill after kill after kill, and they never really formed a proper cohesive unit. And it just kind of echoes the point that Martin was making earlier on, which is very much that as individually players, Giants are pretty solid, but as a team, they're not the strongest.
Yeah, make too many mistakes as a team, but if you're a Freeze fan, he didn't play too well in week 1. He actually played really well in this series here. Let's see how he plays tomorrow.
We will see what happens. Well, with Origen getting on the board in the summer split, we need to step away. Keep it tuned right here because there's more League Championship Series when we return.
Secured an amazing finds the spider in the brush. And he has to dash away, but will it be enough? The fangs sink in, and that is going to be first blood from Mighty Bear. We'll meet Power of Evil on the bottom side, but they turn their attention towards the mid, and Nuke Duck, true to his name. So as they bought enough time for the rest of the team to arrive, and so as through the steadfast presence, it's shut down by Cabo Shard. Heke did not get far enough away. You cannot escape. Last Nexus turret's falling just as we expected it. 45 minutes, the Nexus is going to go down. In comes Nuke Duck now around the side. He's trying to answer Flash's for misses. He doesn't get it. He secures it. Finally onto Soaz. Sped up. He does get knocked over, but Mighty Bear comes around the side and they turn their attention to Expeke. Mighty Bear sinking in the fangs. Manages to get one on that. The hammer comes flying and they knock him away. And in comes Power of Evil. This is the fight that Origen are looking for. And Peke takes out Rhea. The rest of Vitality bopped and knocked all over the place. This could be the game. Origen looking to find their first win on the split, and they will do it here.